The minority side has issued a statement. Isaac Adongo is a member of the minority side, MP for Bolga Central, and member of the Finance Committee. Honorable, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Yeah, good evening and good night to your listeners.
The the IMF program or the IMF tutelage is not strange to us. They are going to guide us now, just as they did when your party was in power and so on. But you've issued a statement, and I'm looking at the headline now that we should prepare for severe hardship. That's a warning from you in relation to the IMFD when the government is giving us assurances that things are not going to go bad. This tutelage is not new to us. Why are you calling this particular one problematic or the one that will take us into severe hardship?
Well, Omaru, unfortunately, I haven't seen that statement, so I don't want to speak to it. But what I can say is that I have read the IMF release. And when you read that release, you will not be in doubt that this program is poorly negotiated. This program had no focus from Ghana. This program, at best, was akin to a lobbyist activity by the finance minister, who single-handedly was roaming within the corridors of IMF and roaming within the corridors of the Paris Club just to get this program through. You cannot tell anybody what was government's program and what was on the table. There's nothing like that. And so you've ended up with the IMF basically technically designing a program and giving it to us because we just didn't have any direction. And the issues that have been raised in that document are so daring that I tend to say that we are in a very, very difficult situation. The pill is a lot bitter than I have known. Of course, don't forget that this is the first time we've gone to the IMF, basically not even being compliant with the debt sustainability situation of the IMF. And the IMF's own report, if you read in the early paragraph, it makes it very clear that COVID-19 took advantage of pre-existing vulnerabilities of the economy. It wasn't COVID-19 that was the problem. It is simply that at the time COVID-19 came, we were suffering from heightened fiscal and external vulnerabilities. And these were matters that we had raised for a very long time, and they didn't work with them until COVID came, took advantage of these vulnerabilities, and hurt us. Now, you also notice that the IMF is at pains to say that over the years, we've been running a budget that lacks credibility, and that the budget has not been transparent all this while. And that, as a matter of fact, we've been sustaining large extra budgetary expenditures. What does that mean? It means that whatever we have been reporting over the period, there are large expenses that have been incurred outside of the budget which have not been reported. That is an indictment. And you remember the minority we have consistently said that the numbers are being cooked. The numbers don't reflect the reality. Only a few days ago, go and take the Bank of Ghana's own summary economic and financial data that it issued a few weeks ago. You will still see very huge numbers for our reserves. And yet the IMF is saying in this report that our reserves can only last 0.5 months, effectively 2 weeks as of February. So between February and now, we just don't even have reserves. And that is why there was that urgent need, even before we are able to conclude on our debt restructuring. We are able to conclude on whatever it is that we are discussing with the Paris Club, with our Eurobond holders, and with our private creditors. We needed that 600 million in order to support the Citi and to increase reserves at the Bank of Ghana. Otherwise, we have actually exhausted our reserves. That is very dire. And yet the Bank of Ghana was still issuing huge numbers of reserves that just don't exist. So that is where we are. And you can see the alignment and adjustments that are being predicted, and they are very heavy front-loaded. As we speak, they are already limiting us to credit of about 66 million for the next 3 years. And yet I heard the Minister, the Minister of State and the Minister of Finance say that they are going to leverage the IMF to go back to the capital market. I am not sure he's aware that the IMF is providing the limit on even how much we can borrow. He's not aware. The IMF is saying that from today, the Bank of Ghana should not lend a penny to the government of Ghana. But even on top of that, the evidence on what the IMF has reported is that for the past 1 year up to the end of 2022, we accumulated the energy sector debt or arrears to the tune of 25 billion, and we did not pay a kobo of those arrears in 2022. Other non-energy sector arrears, such as those owed to National Health Insurance Service providers, owed to contractors and road contractors, is in excess of 17 billion. In all, we are looking at 44 billion. Have you ever seen that being reported anywhere in our fiscals? Never. But today we know that. Now, they are saying that from now onwards, our primary balance and our overall deficit should be reported on commitment basis. What it means is that we should not accrue a single arrears from now till the year 2026. Now, again, what that also means is that we should now program, in addition to not creating arrears, we should now program to pay off those arrears of 44 billion that we have accrued. How are they going to do it? And these are people who have been used to very lax economic management, just borrow from the Bank of Ghana. You remember when they brought the 2022 budget, they had indicated that they were going to increase our revenue to GDP to 20%. When we said that was not achievable, they told us that we didn't know what we were doing. You look at the program. The program anticipates only 1% growth, 1% growth in revenue to GDP in this particular year, and actually projects that by the end of the program in 2026, would have only done 18.7% of GDP. And yet last year, they came and scammed us that they were doing 20% of GDP. So quite clearly, it is this level of lack of credibility and lack of transparency and hiding a lot of extra budgetary expenditures that has led us to this. I recall my banter with the Bank of Ghana when I kept telling the Bank of Ghana, don't throw the dollars in search of non-existent single-digit depreciation. And that depreciation of a currency is not a goal variable. It is just a flexible tool to manage risk and to manage vulnerability. Today, the IMF is saying, from now onwards, you have already thrown all your dollars away. We are giving you $600 million, build your buffers, and from now, there is a requirement to increase that buffer by not less than 100 million to 200 million a year, so that in the next 3 years, we'll have enough buffers to meet 3 months of imports. We were telling them that all over. And I kept saying, you don't live and manage an economy as if there will not be any headwinds. And when the headwinds came, we were just there. That's what has happened. And there are major issues to be discussed in that document. And I wish that you find time for us to digest, for Ghanaians to know what this portends for us. But this is a poorly negotiated program. At best, this was a lobbyist activity, and they were able to rope in the managing director of the IMF, who became the chief PRO for Ghana. That was what we did.
Maybe the chief PRO of the IMF thinks that it's a good program because they've done this.
What is the name of the program that he approved? If you read the document,
I'm just saying
all he kept referring to, I'm saying that all that he kept referring to was 2023 budget. Is our program 2023 budget?
No, I'm just saying that.
Read the document extensively. Every time it came to that, they talked about 2023 budget.
I'm just saying that the IMF has done this for decades, and so if the IMF says it's okay,
let me.
Just a second. I don't see why the IMF would bend backwards over to accommodate us and even go ahead to champion and promote our cause when it does not think we have a sensible, a good program that we have brought before it. I don't know why IMF would do this to Ghana, because I don't see IMF being a member of the government or the member of the New Patriotic Party, and they have a track record to approving deals that are good for countries, and they've done this for decades, like I'm saying. So I don't know why they would do what you are claiming they have done now, that they are pushing for government of Ghana. Just a point I want to make to you.
The same question I am asking myself, what the IMF was interested, the managing director's interest was. I was in Washington for the spring meetings, and everywhere Ghana's name came out, he would ignore Zambia and the rest of the country, and the focus was on Ghana. But let me tell you, do you sincerely believe that on the score of the statement that was issued by the creditor committee of the Paris Club, you get any inkling in that report that there were financing guarantees? Read that report extensively from the credit committee and tell me where in the credit committee you will find credit or financing guarantees other than the fact that there has been an establishment of a committee to deal with Ghana's matter. Tell me. And yet Zambia has been at the credit committee, have had a committee set up for all this work. If really setting up a credit committee can be interpreted to mean financing guarantees, then Zambia should not still be where they are.
The government of Ghana could not have bullied the IMF, could it?
I am not saying they were bullied. If you listen to, I said this was lobbyist activity.
I know, but
you understand that word? So don't use the word bullying. I said this was a lobbyist activity.
I do, but I do. But if you're lobbying someone and they accept your lobby, and lobbying is not a crime, it just means that you are good at doing your job. That means you should be applauding the government then for getting the program.
And doing your job is that the whole of Ghana's program is in the hands of one finance minister who just goes around negotiating on behalf of Ghana without a program that anybody in Ghana knows. Is that how you lobby? Listen, the finance minister was in and out of this country almost all the time, and I met him at the airport. He was alone. And I said, Minister, I thought you were back in Ghana. He said, I came back because the credit committee was meeting. I mean, that is the extent. That is the extent of the desperation and lack of a team effort to put the interests of Ghana first and to put our best foot forward. That was what I mean. And I've seen a lot of that. There are a series of conversations around the expedition in terms of Ghana's situation, which for me is good for Ghana because I'm a Ghanaian. I don't want Ghana to deteriorate. But I'm saying that we could have had a better program, we could have had a better focus, and we could have put our best foot forward and not this type of lobbyist activity. That is what I'm saying.
Thank you so much for your time. That's the Honorable Isaac Adongo. He's MP for Bolga Central.